Well, Israeli government spokesman Mark Regev joins me live now. He's been listening to that conversation I had with Sahar Francis. Mark, you heard what Sahar said. She says that the Israeli case against these two men is built on secret files, which has not allowed them to effectively defend themselves. And in so doing, Israel's contradicting international law. How do you respond to that?
The process of administrative detention is all right under international law. It appears specifically in the Fourth Geneva Convention. I would prefer, and the Israeli government would prefer, to have everyone in open trial. But when you're dealing with these hardcore terrorist groups, groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad, you're often using intelligence. And if I bring my intelligence assets into an open court, I lose those assets. Those assets would probably be killed by the same extremists. So in some cases, you need administrative detention to save lives.
But Mark, Justice Rubinstein did criticize security authorities for holding these detainees without interrogating them on certain issues relating to their arrest.
Well, that's the whole point here, is that it's not an arbitrary process. Every stage, a judge is brought in. You know, you can't hold someone for more than 8 days without a judge seeing all the information. The lawyers for the detainee can go to an appeal after that, all the way up to the Israeli Supreme Court, which, as you reported, looked at the case today. You have a situation where these two individuals...
of the way these guys are being treated, saying they have not been interrogated on specific charges relating to them. Why hasn't that been done, though?
I think that just shows that the process is working, that we have checks and balances, that we do have independent judicial review, and I wish that all the prisoners in Palestinian jails had the same rights.
We're not talking about Palestinian jails, to be fair, Mark Regev, as you're well aware. Let's focus on this issue at hand. If the case against them is so strong, why not just charge them? That's the question people around the world basically want answered. Why not charge them instead of holding these people in administrative detention?
I agree that that would be preferable. But unfortunately, in some cases, I'll give you an example. If you were giving me information about a terrorist who was your neighbor, and I exposed you in an open trial, you would be in danger. You could well get killed. And also, I would lose my intelligence asset, and terrorists would be killing innocent people. So there's a balance here between the rights of the detainee and the rights of the general public, who we're trying to protect. You've got to remember who Islamic Jihad is. Islamic Jihad is a ruthless Iranian-backed terrorist organization that has no compulsion whatsoever about killing innocent civilians, attacking children, attacking old people, throwing bombs into restaurants, into pizza parlors, into coffee shops. That's who Islamic Jihad is.
Islamic Jihad themselves have said that if these two men die in custody, or if any person starving themselves on hunger strike dies in custody, that this will lead to clashes on the streets. Is Israel prepared for that? Is Israel prepared for these two men to die in custody? Because we've already heard from Physicians for Human Rights saying these two men are at risk of death.
The prison authorities are acting now to contain the hunger strike and hopefully to end it as soon as possible. We don't want to see anyone hurt themselves. I mean, ultimately our problem is that these groups have put suicide up on a pedestal, the suicide bombings, killing innocent people, and now I'm concerned that these people will kill themselves in order to instigate more violence that no one wants to see.
But as you well know, it's not just even about these two men. There are about 1,500, by some quotes, 1,600 Palestinians in Israeli jails who are on some kind of hunger strike. This is a problem for Israel. I mean, this is a challenge facing the Israeli government. What steps are being taken to quote-unquote normalize this situation?
Well, let's be clear here. Of the couple of hundred people currently on strike, only 6 are being held under administrative detention. The hundreds of the others are all people who've been sentenced. And they've been sentenced because their participation in brutal crimes against innocent civilians. People who've attacked and killed the people in the public and are serving sentences under law. This isn't about politics. This is about terrorists who are killers.
Mark, you made a point about it's also about the balance between security interests and the rights of the prisoners themselves. One last question before I let you go. Why is it, according to various sources we've spoken to, that these men have not had access to independent doctors?
Oh, that's not true. On the contrary, we are giving them medical treatment, a second opinion, above and beyond what the Red Cross demands in its international law. And here I would like to say something that has to be said. Israel gives our prisoners treatment above and beyond what international standards demand that we give. And if you look at some of their demands, it's really for the extras above and beyond what international law requires. I don't think anyone has made a serious allegation that Israel is doing anything here against international law. On the contrary.
All right, Mark Regev, government spokesman, appreciate you taking time out to speak to us today. Thank you. You're watching CNN News Center. Coming up.